Hi, this is Lauren.
Jeff.
And Joe, and you are listening to Smut and Sass. In this podcast, we discuss books and will likely go on sassy tangents. Give our own hot takes and opinions on all the smutty books you know and love or have been on your TBR, but you've been putting off.
If you missed it, we're following along Joe's journey as she reads through ACOTAR series for the first time. So let's jump in.
I told you weren't going to be able to stop, and I love being vindicated like that.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were gonna do it, but then when you left me in the dust, and I was like, "Damn, now I gotta finish the book."
Well, I can't technically read at work, so I listened to it. And since it was, I wasn't doing anything major besides running around like an idiot at my job, it's playing in the background. And I'm like, okay, I know where I'm at. I just got to get to chapter 51. We'll be fine. And then I'm literally standing in my pharmacy as chapter 51 ends, and I went, nope, we can't do this now. I have to listen to the rest of this because now I'm mad.
Yeah, it was a bad spot to just stop. It wasn't happening.
I was like, no. I can't throw my phone. I can't show emotion. But I can't not continue this because now I'm ticked.
Probably the worst that you were at work.
Yeah.
Chapter. Oh no.
Okay, so we left off. Me and Lauren we're finding where we stopped. So we're picking up at chapter 38.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is where we start.
Yeah, so what? Amryn takes the book and off she goes, like, to try to figure all that stuff out, or the half of the book.
We have that half of the book now, yes.
Yeah, and then Tarquin sends the blood rubies, because he's been gravely insulted that they,
took the book
they
and...
kind of fucked that up.
Yeah.
when they left.
I just like how she uses hers as a paperweight.
Yeah,
like, okay, it's a bounty on your head, but, I don't need those to blow away anytime soon, so we'll use it as a paperweight.
Yeah, and then of course Reese is like in a mood, and she like can't get him out of it, because he's just like, meh. And she's like, let's go pick out lingerie, like at the
She was trying so hard to get him out of his funk.
Yeah, but then Azrael shows up, and,
Yeah.
And then he sends that vision to her, like what would happen if they had gone down to the store.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Farrah's like, prick.
Yeah, asshole. Yeah.
And then he has a big nightmare. Like, she wakes up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I guess.
He's, like, blackened the house or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got to fight her way through it to get to him because that's where she knows it's coming from.
Yeah. And then we find out that that's why he stays there, which,
Yeah.
It's like Farrah's there, but whatever. So he has just as much nightmares as Farrah does.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know, like, the extent of his trauma.
Yeah, we're finally getting to see behind the mask a bit of Reese and get to know him as a person, not just the High Lord.
Yeah.
And we're seeing behind that and his vulnerability. Whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Vulnerability.
Christ. That word.
That word.
It's been a long day.
It's a long day. We get a lot of vulnerability from Reese this rest of the book.
Yeah.
I feel like we get a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. It's nice seeing that side of him.
Yeah. And then what is it? And then she gets like the flash of the painting again. We're getting that more and more now. Where she's like, she keeps seeing stuff.
Yeah, she's slowly starting to come back to herself and, get these visions of paintings and stuff that she wants to do and that, like, kind of will to live.
Yeah, it's slowly coming back after everything, and...
Yeah.
She's learning how to handle her trauma and all the damage that's been done over the last, what?
We're in our healing
2 years
era.
now? We 2 years in finally, or are we like a year?
Not
and a half?
even. We're just a little over a
year.
Like,
okay.
It has not been long.
Yeah, because I just have a note like chapter 39. Like, it's kind of like I feel like whatever chapter, like it says weeks go by, like she's training, she's working with Cassian, she's working with Reese. We find out that is it Varian sends Amryn a necklace to like soften the declaration of blood, the blood rubies, because she was like, he can't decide if he like hates me or wants me, kind of thing. And Farrah's like, why can't it be both? And then we get to like where the queens finally like answer that they'll meet, you know, at Farrah's family's estate, which of course is just a shit show. Because why not? Why not?
Because everything involving her sisters is a shit show.
Yeah.
Even if they aren't directly involved.
Yeah. I just said that the queens were like assholes. Because they like, you know,
because they are.
They want this proof and all this stuff. And even Elaine's like, I hope they all burn in hell. And she was like, Elaine, like she says that, and she's like the quiet one, you know, off to the side.
Because for as quiet as Elaine is, like she does have a brain sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
it comes
just
out when it
babied
needs
by
to.
Nesta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she's starting to like do things, you know, say things. So then they're, you know, Reese is like, we gotta show him, you know, Valaris, like, and Farrah's like, no, like, let's not.
Like the secret that's been kept for centuries.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
You know, since basically its birth.
Yeah.
You now just want to hand over to these fucking bitches.
And he's like, no, I'm gonna show them, you know, and he's like, Veritas, is that how you say it? The orb?
Yeah,
Veritas.
That's been in
That's basically the Sauron's eye.
Yeah.
That's what I like to compare it to.
Because it shows the truth, you know, it doesn't, it just sees things. And then I have like a note, like I try to keep the time because it says 2 months. This is like before they go to the Court of Nightmares, but it says 2 months and she still hadn't even walked in the artist's quarter. So like she's already been there for 2 months. And Valaris, I feel like time's just like
yeah, it's jumpy. Like it's not super jumpy, but it's jumpy.
Yeah, that was like a filler chapter. I feel like she's like, and
yeah,
went by. I'm like,
39 and 40 were kind of filler because it was a whole lot of. Well, we did a little of this, we did a little of that, and this was the big event. You know.
Yeah.
Nothing really came of it except for this one request.
Yeah.
Type
and
deal.
Now, you know, I think Reese towards the end of the chapters, like he didn't want Farrah to see him how he is in the Court of Nightmares, and he's like, you've only started to look at me like I'm not a monster, you know. And she's like, tell me what I need to do, like she's all game for it. And then I have a note that we get more of a backstory on more like why she has strained relations with her family.
Oh yeah,
which is pretty fucked up. Like, messed up.
Listen.
I mean, go girl for, like, saying, you know, fuck you. But it sucks.
What they did to her.
You know, to the highest bidder kind of thing in marriage. So she decided that she'd go sully herself with an Illyrian warrior, Cassian.
Yeah.
And her family beat the shit out of her and left her in the woods with a note nailed to her.
Nailed to her.
Azrael found her, right? I think Azrael found her.
Left her for dead.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope he dies. I'm sure he does. I can't remember. He's an asshole. Was it
I don't think so yet.
Is that not for a while?
Kier, yeah.
Kier, yeah.
I mean, so, but Reese definitely puts him in his place, which is nice. Repeatedly. Because he just can't learn a fucking lesson.
Yeah, so that was kind of messed up. Yeah, this book we get a lot of like, we start to get more deep and deep into people's traumas.
We get a lot of backstory, a lot of
Yeah.
lore.
Mm-hmm.
Lore. And that was like the end of 41, and then 42, they're going
To the Court of Nightmares.
Nightmares. And I just have one funny line that while they're flying there,
It's the wings.
Ferris, like,
I
Cameron and Moore told me that the
cackled.
span of an elite male's wingspan says a lot about the size of other parts. And then he's like, when we return home, let's get out the measuring stick.
This is not a dick measuring contest, sir.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it most assuredly
It is. Yes, we know.
And for the
Yeah.
record, Azrael has the biggest wings.
Biggest wings, yeah.
Yeah. We made that very clear.
And then, of course, this is all cut off with somebody firing
Arrows.
at them.
Yeah.
And then they spend like an hour. They're trying to find it. Nobody's there, and they have to go because they were on their way to the Court of Nightmares. And then I had a note that Ferris said twice now that whoever knew where Reese and Farah would be. So it's like, how are they tracking them? You know, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
then we get to the iconic moment of walking into the hewn city.
Yeah, very descriptive.
And the role that Farah gets to play.
Yeah, I love this chapter, like, so much. I love it.
Ugh.
You can't see Steph, but she's doing the Italian, like, yes.
Yeah, I know.
Just
everybody
beautiful.
feels Reese, like, they are trembling in their boots, you know? He's just, like, walking with, like, you could just, like she says, you can, like, feel the power, like, the ground shaking kind of thing.
Just, ugh.
It's a good chapter.
And she's playing the role, basically, that Reese played with Amarantha. She is his plaything, his whore, but with more respect.
Yeah.
And when Kier even inkles at disrespecting her.
Well then.
Yeah, because he says you'll get what's coming to you, whore. And Reese is like,
Excuse you.
It's like the music screech, like, screech. Like,
Yep.
I was like, oh shit. So yeah, I love that chapter just because I love them, like, finally getting, you know, somewhere, having a little fun, and Farah doesn't think too much about it. Like, she has fun with it too, you know. Like, she says, like, I'll put a leash on you, you know. She's, you know.
Oh yeah, she falls into the role very well for this.
Yeah. But I also think it's because she knows, like, Reese is just playing a part, you know. If she didn't know it, obviously she wouldn't like it, but
right.
It's a good chapter. So that was all somewhat of a distraction, so Azrael could go steal the orb. And then they just hung out for a while, and then they went back. And 40, I don't know if there's anything else in that chapter.
Well, I'm looking at
43.
I think it was just that him being down in the Court of Nightmares.
Yeah. Yeah. 43, I just have, like, they fight again. Like, he says,
yeah,
like,
42 they get the Veritas,
like,
and then 43 they get into it again.
Yeah, going at it again. Like, he says, I will kill anyone who harms you, I will kill them, and take a damn long time doing it. So it's like, oh damn, he's like, you know, killing and taking names. And then, you know, Reese, I think Farah, what does she do? She kind of uses his words against him when he, like, opened up to her.
Yeah, because she got mad at him, I think, for what he did to Kier when Kier called her a whore.
I was just getting to that part because I was looking at it. I was looking
and
for it.
started going after him, and she was like, wait a minute now, I get it, but, like, that was a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where that happened. He's like, "You'll get what's coming to you, whore." Night
Mm-hmm.
exploded into the room. People cried out, and when the darkness cleared, Kier was on his knees. Reese still lounged on his throne, his face a mask of frozen rage. And he demanded that he apologize. And he didn't. And that's when Reese just fucking let loose on him without lifting a finger, mind you, and broke his arm in 4 different pieces.
Yeah. And then told him he couldn't go to a healer.
And told him he could not go to a healer.
And if he did, he would be carved alive.
Into little pieces.
Yes, I will carve you into pieces and bury them where no one could stand a chance of putting you together again.
Gross.
Like, that's the energy that I crave.
We want that energy.
Like,
Take
that
notes.
is top tier. Take fucking notes, brothers. Okay? That is how you should defend your woman.
PSA.
Okay? This is a public service announcement. If you've got a good woman and you want to keep her, that's the kind of fucking energy you need to be showing up with. Okay? Ugh. Rant over. For
No,
now.
it's not.
I said for now.
For now. So yeah, then of course they argue and
Yeah, and they argue and get mad, and he just disappears. Like, are we doing this again?
and Farrah's she wants to talk, but she's writing him little notes on the magic paper. Nothing, she know he's not at breakfast. She's like, geez, she's like, so I waited for him in the chilled moonlight garden. He didn't come, he wasn't at breakfast or lunch. He wasn't, anywhere. And then she goes to find Amryn, and she's like, the reason why Reese bit my head off this morning. So,
And then she calls him a
and
coward in the letters, and then the letter disappears after she calls him a coward, but he doesn't respond.
Yeah. And then we find out about Starfall. A nice little
Starfall.
Another little lovely thing that they do. Which he hasn't been there. It's the first they'll be together in 50 years.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know how they explain it. It's only in the night court that you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Night court exclusive holiday.
Yeah, every other court, it looks like, celebrates something called Ninsar at this time. That's what coincides with every other court.
Mm-hmm. And then right after that part, Farrah's like, he's lucky to have you all, and Amryn's like, no, we are lucky to have him, Farrah. She's like, I've known many high lords, cruel ones, cunning ones, weak ones, powerful ones, but never one that dreamed, not as he does. And then she says, he thinks he'll be remembered as the villain in the story, but I forgot to tell him that the villain is usually the person who locks up the maiden and throws away the key. And she's like, oh, and she shrugged. He was the one who let me out. So, and then still no reply from Reese.
Yep.
And then she's got to get ready. And then Cassie and Flies are there. And he's like, I should have let them dress me. And she's like, you look rather good despite it. What else? They have a nice little just night to themselves, let loose.
Yeah, Reese finally shows up. They talk.
Yeah.
I was looking at.
Hang on.
Hold on. So they get dressed. They head up there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Obviously, Rhysand eventually shows up. I should have been better about taking notes.
Well, that makes 2 of us.
He takes her up to a quieter view.
Yeah, they're on a balcony somewhere.
Small balcony, and
Yeah, they're just like a few levels up from the main party.
And then she's like, if you fell, or he says if you fell, I'd bother to save it before you hit the ground, but not until I was close to death, maybe. And she's like, as punishment for what I said to you. And he's like, I said some horrible things too. I didn't mean it. I meant it more about myself than you, and I'm sorry. And he's like, you were right, but he just like scared, stayed away. So it's kind of like, okay, I guess they made up. And then we find out that Amarantha like knew that he, the starfall, so she made him stay with her like all night, so he couldn't like see it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he kept him from it.
Yeah, she kept him from it every night, every time it happened every year.
Yeah. And like people, and he's like, Starfall's no secret even to outsiders. She knew what it meant to me. And then she's like, so why aren't you down there with them, like his friends? They don't know what she did to me, and I don't want to ruin their night. And she's like, I don't think it would. They'd be happy to let, you let them shoulder the burden. So they kind of, and then like he gets whacked in the face by whatever the stuff
is. They
is.
both did, yeah. That made me giggle.
Yeah. And then it's kind of like a sweet moment where he's like, smile again, and she's like, I'd paint, I'll paint again. And she's like, so I smiled. And he's like, you're exquisite.
This lovely little moment.
Yeah,
they're laughing.
Like
they're having a night. Like, it's just a little pocket of joy in all of the shit that has just been happening. And it's just a lovely little breath, you know? And then they spend the evening smiling and dancing and having fun. And
yeah, he says, I'm very glad I met you, Farah. And then she's like, come on, let's go dance, So then, they stay up late, and then the next morning they're off to the Illyrian War camp. Where I guess Reese, like his camp from when he like grew up there, right? Isn't that, was that because the house that's there is like with the one that his mom, right?
Yes. So then we have to go to the Illyrian War Camp. That's the house where his mother lived. Because she didn't live with his dad because, they were mates, but they were not compatible whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, and she like wanted him to learn, like, to fight without using like his powers, like to,
Yeah, because and that was a very important thing that they did for him in raising him, is having him go through the Illyrian training and all that. And like this is where we get more backstory on Cassian and Azrael and how they came up in the camps and how the three of them all came together. And like Cassian would spar just for fucking clothes. Like
it's crazy. Yeah. And you find out about the blood right, like where they, basically just are like killing each other to get to the top of this mountain, and they end up like, working together. I think because of all this like trauma, you find out that Reese is having them train the women, which of course is like a huge like ongoing struggle, because like the leaders of each camp, like they are always like, oh, the women need to do their chores first, or they want to clip the wings. They don't think women should be flying.
Yeah, because the Illyrian mindset throughout history was clip the females.
1 second, I've locked
breeding.
my child out of the apartment. Hold on.
Holding. We'll cut here
on
while we pause, or we'll just ramble and rant. I don't know.
Ramble along. No. We will ramble. Rambling on.
You can stay outside.
You may not come in. No, just kidding.
And she's on the floor.
The things we have to do to record around here.
So sorry.
Oh, you're
Walking
fine.
children.
Anyway.
No, it's okay. We don't care.
And this, like, is where we get the nitty-gritty story of Tamlin and his family and how they killed Reese's.
Yeah.
And Farrah's literally disgusted because he's like, was this where he explained the wings on the wall in Tamlin's house are, or is that later on? Is this that chapter where it's like, oh yeah, I'm surprised you didn't see,
that's
the
this
wings,
chapter.
and she's just like,
It's
That's
this
this
chapter. Yeah.
She's like,
yeah.
I was like, oh my god, like, it's so bad. So bad.
Yeah. Fuck tampon.
Yeah. Like, and just to think, like, if Reese would have just killed him, whatever. So we get that whole story. So that's, like, heavy. And then, of course, at the end of that chapter, she's like, I want to paint you. And he's like, nude would be best. And I'm like, they always have to, like, have a little humor, when we get real heavy about stuff. But yeah, that was like, that really sucked. Because then I'm just going through it. Like, his father said he wasn't going to kill, like, Tamlin's mom, but of course he did it. And then he was going to kill Tamlin, and Reese, like, stood in his way.
So who killed who first? Was it Tamlin's family that killed his family first, or was it Reese's family that killed Tamlin's family first?
No, so Tamlin's family killed Reese's family first. In retribution, Reese's family killed Tamlin's family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so right then, both Reese and Tamlin came into power at the same time.
Yeah, because when Reese came with his dad, Tamlin ended up killing Reese's dad, so they both became High Lords right then and there.
Okay.
And he just ran. He was like, and then he was like, he didn't tell you any of that. And she's like, I'm sorry. He's like, what do you possibly have to be sorry for? She was like, I didn't know that he had done that. So, yeah. She was like pissed, So.
Yeah, she
like,
scorched the ground.
Yeah.
She lit the forest on fire in a rage.
She's got a little anger issues. And then he says, because she's like, why didn't you tell me? And he said, I didn't want you to think I was trying to turn you against him. And then we get to the part where she's like, the painting, I could see it, feel it. And then she's like, I want to paint you. A nude would be best. So yeah, that was like a shitty chapter. Backstory. But like,
again,
tampon
trauma.
man just lying out of his ass.
All trauma.
Well, it's not even that Tamlin's lying at this point. He's just not. It comes back to the not telling her fucking anything.
Nope.
Nothing.
Like, it just keeps circling back to he just doesn't fucking tell her anything. So she's just learning all this shit as she goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hoping for the best, I guess.
Yeah.
She's like, cool, this is what I was going to marry. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. So then they're kind of trying to figure out, what are they trying to figure out? There's not much.
Oh, 46, they're still trying to train.
Yeah. Once we get to like 46, that's when, at the end of, what is that? The end of 46, she's like in the woods, and of course, who shows up? Lucien! And it's like, oh, hey! Hi!
Yeah, so her and Reese leave the camp to go do training away from the camp because
so
they don't need prying eyes. Yes, she doesn't need to burn down the camp. They don't need prying eyes, getting nosy with what the fuck she's got going on.
Yeah.
So they're trying to train in private. So they go out into the wilderness. And here comes Tampon's tampon.
Yeah. Apparently they've been hunting her for 2 months. Like, has Lucien really been out for like 2 months? Like,
if they are, they're doing a piss poor job of it. I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah, she's like, how did you find me?
Yeah, so she's been hidden, yes, but
right. I wonder if
they
they're
know
the
where her
ones that
family's
shoot the
house is.
arrows.
They could have,
Yeah.
if you're really hunting for her.
There's some unanswered questions.
Anyway.
He just says someone tipped us off. Like who? Who did? Who be it? Do we think it's? Well, who would it be?
The Adder.
Well,
because the Adder got her.
Yes.
Back in part one.
Basically, it comes down to the fact that they've been tracing Reese's magic.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the.
So every time he winnows or uses any of his magic, they've been able to pinpoint where he's at and where he is. She is.
Yeah.
That's like the Harry Potter, like when they use magic before they're of age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like.
Yes, essentially.
So then we find out that, Spring Court's a shit show. And Lucian's like, you need to come home.
And she's like, no. Absolutely not.
And he was like, it was a mistake. We all made mistakes. He's sorry. Like, okay.
Sir.
And he looks like he's like,
really?
Desperate for her to come back. And,
I think he's just desperate for her to come back because now he's a punching bag.
Yeah.
Well, like Tampon is spiraling. He's up to some shady fucking shit, sounds like. Cannot confirm nor deny at this point. And he's hoping that she can fix it. Yeah, right, bitch. Don't fucking touch me.
And then, of course, Reese is like, boom. Because, I wonder what took him so long.
Well, he was waiting to see what she was gonna. Well, he was a little far back for one.
Yeah.
For two, he was like waiting to see how she was gonna handle it. Like if she was going to remember. He's everything he does is with intention and purpose. And like putting her into that space where I've got fucking power. I can fucking use it. It all comes back to that too.
Yeah.
Like you are powerful. Tap into your shit.
And she really did, she was just like,
yeah, and like you see in this, like she actually taps into being able to winnow again.
Yeah, so that's all.
And she actually
only
used
be able
her
to do in an emergency.
Well, at least she's trying, but she also let herself shapeshift. When she figured out she could shapeshift because she gets that from Tamlin, she never wanted to. But here you see her actually give herself the ability to do it, but she warps it into her own need, not what he gave her.
Yeah. It's like in one line that I really like in this is, I was not the High Lord's pet any longer.
Yeah.
And maybe the world should learn that I did indeed have fangs. Fuck yeah.
There it is.
Let's
she's
fucking
very
go.
Yeah.
And I became smoke and ash and night, and the world stilled and bent, and there was Lucian lunging so slowly for what was now blank space as I stepped around him.
Yeah. Yeah, Farrah.
Like, fuck yeah.
And then she's like, you gave up on me. You were my friend, and you picked obeying him, even when you saw that his orders and his rule did to me. Even when you saw me wasting away day by day, it's like messed up. And then she kind of like a parting blow. When you spend so long trapped in darkness, Lucian, you find that the darkness begins to stare back. And he's like, what? And that's when the wings come out. And he's like, what did you do to yourself? She's like, the human girl you knew died under the mountain. I have no interest in spending immortality as a High Lord's pet. She's like, and then Lucian's like, you're dead in your entire cursed court. Like, I don't know. We're grasping at straws here. So they've been trying to find her this whole time. Obviously her letter didn't help at all, because they think she's been
why
like,
would her opinion matter at this point?
Yeah, they still, like, they're not giving Farrah the respect that she deserves. And Reese was like, that was a very convincing performance, and she's like, I gave him what he wanted to see. We should find another spot. She's just like, let's, And then she says, he's like, "Are you all right?" As like he grabs her to go elsewhere, and she's like, "The fact that it was so easy, that I felt so little, upsets me more than the encounter itself." And then
Yes.
he's like, "You looked good with wings," and kissed my brow, and I was like, "Oh." I love him.
They're getting cute again.
Yay!
Yes.
So that was a good chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next chapter is even better. Ultimate one bed.
One bed trope.
It is literally the textbook.
And then immediately he goes, "I asked for 2. You cannot get mad at me right now. I asked for 2. You liar."
Yeah.
Liar.
Yeah, I love this chapter. It's a hot chapter. It's a good chapter.
Like, I love that defensive. I asked for 2 with his hands up and like just like
No.
fucking yes.
And then she's like, "I'm used to sharing a bed." He's like, "I'll try to keep my hands to myself." So he goes to get food. She sees another painting again. I feel like they're more, coming on more often. They're talking some more.
There's a line in this. They're sitting on the bed. They have eaten and everything, and he looks at her and he's like, "I love it when you look at me like that." And she's like what? And he's like my power isn't something to run from. Like, you see me.
Yeah, I have that highlighted too. And then they finally confess their feelings for each other. I feel like they outright say, how they're feeling. He's like, they're in their one thought one thought in exchange for another, no training involved. And he's like, "I'm thinking that I looked at you and I feel like I'm dying, like I can't breathe. I'm thinking that I want you so badly I can't concentrate half the time I'm around you. And this room is too small for me to properly bed you, especially with the wings." And then she responds, "I'm thinking that I can't stop thinking about you, and that it's been that way for a long while, even before I left the spring court. And maybe that makes me a traitorous lying piece of trash, but..." And he's like, "It doesn't." And I'm like, finally, you guys finally, you stop beating around the bush.
I do like, though, in the beginning of that chapter where they're describing she's changing clothes, I can see how small this room is as she rams into everything as she's replacing all of her wet clothes. She's need the bedpost. She's stuck to a slanted wall.
Bed. It
is really just a closet in the attic with a bed,
and a dresser somehow. That's about it.
You can't see where I am, but it's a small little room. So yeah, then we get to he's like, "What do you want, Farah?" And she's like, "I want a distraction. I want fun." And he kind of tenses. And then he's like, "Then allow me the pleasure of distracting you." And then we get, the full on. One bed. Small room. Let's go.
And at one point she reaches out and touches his wing, and his response is, "Your finger is very cold."
Yeah, we find out that they're very sensitive. I guess later on, he explains a little more.
I never knew Illyrians were such sensitive babies.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that chapter. Obviously I wish that there was more to it, and he's like, "I want you, the room isn't big enough to do what he wants to do." And then he's like, I want to be alone, far away from everyone, because when you lick me, Pharaoh, I'm going to let myself roar loud enough to bring down the mountain. And he's like, I've had a long, long time to think about how and where I want you. And then, she passes out because, she had the best, orgasm of her life in a bedroom. In a small room in an inn. In the middle of nowhere.
It's like she's... Listen, this is a smut and sass podcast. We're going to talk about this smut for a minute, okay?
Yeah, bring it.
We're finally getting some good action here, and I want to take a minute and just
Okay.
it. Okay, because
rant number 2.
Listen,
are we ranting or praising? I don't know.
And sass. So we're gonna talk about the smut, okay? Because it's good fucking smut.
It is like,
and
I feel like we've
we've been skipping it because we haven't gotten much.
We haven't really.
And what we've gotten is not highly descriptive of
it.
Or did we want to talk about it?
This is descriptive. He's trailing his fingers everywhere, and she's grinding back up against him, and he's like, "Stop, because you're gonna ruin my fun." Because he's playing with her, and ooh boy, howdy,
he wants to touch her. He's like, don't. I've been thinking about this, every day since forever.
Just let me touch you.
Yeah, and he's like, okay. Oh, I have so much stuff highlighted in the chapter. It's a hot chapter.
It is such a hot chapter, and he's sending thoughts at her through the bond while he's touching her. I can't breathe when I look at you. Let me touch you, because I was jealous and pissed off. She's mine. That part. That part. Listen, we love a possessive king. Okay?
She was like, I didn't care one bit about what I was and who I was and where I'd been. It's like, she was just
it's so good.
There was just so much leading up to it, because they really hadn't done anything before that, besides when they were under.
They just sleep in separate rooms and stare at each other. That's where we've been this entire time.
Yes, it has just been flirting and antagonizing, and we're finally getting down to the nitty gritty. We're finally touching each other. We're finally doing something about it, and the sexual tension is fucking tight. Okay?
Yeah, and it's not corny either, because you know how sometimes when you read sexy scenes and you're like, oh my god.
Some of them are just not well written at all.
I'm like, oh no, but she's very good.
Oh yes, she is very good, and I just want to appreciate it.
Yes. And then he says, oh, this is my favorite part. She's like, I couldn't breathe hard enough, fast enough, as Reese withdrew his fingers, pulling back as I could meet his stare. He said, I wanted to do that when I felt how drenched you were at the Court of Nightmares. I wanted to have you right there in the middle of everyone, but mostly I just wanted to do this. His eyes held mine as he brought those fingers to his mouth and sucked on them.
I wanted to I was so glad I was in a med room when that happened, because I was going to yell at somebody. And I didn't want to do it in front of all my coworkers. I was mad. Not mad, but no. Not the facial expression I needed to give at work. Thank you. At all.
When I read that, I'm like, yes. Because I just like that. And it's not very often, in books that they do it, but I'm like, yeah, okay. It's a very possessive,
yes.
So yeah. And then she she's like, I was going to eat him alive, and then he was like, I want us to be somewhere far, far away.
Yes, because when you lick me, Farah, I'm going to let myself roar loud enough to bring down a mountain.
And then he
like, "I've had
turns
a
it on
long,
her
long
and
time."
goes, "And for you, I want to put you on a table."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Excuse me."
Splayed out on a table like my own personal feast.
No notes. There's no notes.
None.
That is the note.
Just yes. The
that
note
is the note.
yes.
Yes.
Immediately, yes.
Yes.
We'll put it on a
yes.
neon sign. Yes.
Yes.
And then, she's like passed out from sleep,
Mhm.
and doesn't have a nightmare.
Oh, then she
Yes,
goes, "Maybe it
they
was the
actually-
wine." Ma'am, it was not the wine. The
No,
wine
it
helped,
was-
but it was not the wine.
Oh my
It
god.
absolutely was not the wine. It was that delicious orgasm you just got and the delicious man laying in the bed next to you, and that's it. That's it.
Yummy. Reese is yummy.
He is.
I have a thing highlighted at the beginning of chapter 49 when
Mhm.
like she turns over and his eyes are open and she's like laying on his arm and she says, and I realized I might very well be content to do exactly that forever, like, just laying there with him. I was like, okay.
Mhm.
And then they're like, let's get out of here,
Well, I do want to point out she did ask him. She's like, "Why did you make that
Oh,
bargain
yeah.
with me?
Yes.
Why demand a week from me every month?" And
Mhm.
it's because I wanted to make a statement to Amarantha, because I wanted to piss off Tamlin, and I needed to keep you alive in a way that wouldn't be seen as merciful.
Hmm.
And like he had the opportunity right there. And this is where I want to kind of smack him in the face. It's like, you could just say, "I also wanted to keep you in my fucking life, brother."
Yeah.
We're getting there.
And
And we have words about that, but we're getting there.
I know.
I don't like
I know.
the communication trope where there's like miscommunications. I'm like, just talk to each other.
I
don't
know.
need
But
And
then
that,
if they
that's
just
their
talk to
biggest
each other like we
obstacle.
discussed, we wouldn't have a series.
There would be no
well,
plot.
at least it's not too horrible. It's just annoying. Like, it's like, just tell each other.
I know.
Yeah, because you
It's
can
like,
see
come
it
on now.
word for word what they're doing to each other, and that's where you get angry because you know what's happening. You just can't yell at
and
them
then
loud enough.
She's like, maybe it'd be easier to pretend that nothing happened, like the last night didn't happen. It's like, what?
Ma'am,
Like,
get it together.
so what? They fly back to friggin' stupid
They
camp.
flew for most of the day, blah 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 blah. As they were looking for more places to train.
Oh, he says there's one more story I need to tell you, and of course, gets shot with an arrow again. Here we go.
Yeah.
And this chapter, sucks.
Oh yeah, this is where he gets shot down. They get separated, and she can't feel him anymore.
Because he got shot with a bunch of poison ash arrows
And gets drugged somewhere.
They shredded his wings, struck his legs.
And luckily, because they, had a little fun the night before, because they split up into two, the groups. So she was able to smell her and his scents. So she picked the right way to go.
Yeah.
Smarty at a party. That's like she was a hunter. So she does know how to track, which I'm surprised, like, they didn't just, like, leave altogether. Like, why even stay anywhere near where they were?
Well, they were looking for her, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they figured she'd probably try to find him. So she does find them in some cave. And
He's been shot with arrows and he's being whipped, and she loses her shit.
Slaughter Town. And she is not mad about it.
No.
This isn't like the people she had to stab in the heart. This is like,
this is a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, this is, you fucked with what's mine, and now I'm going to end you.
Yeah. And like, she says things where it's like, we're getting to the next chapter, but I'll come back to it. Whatever. Just like, Where it's like, I don't know how she didn't see that they were mates. Like, because obviously some things, like, are only going to happen because, you know, your mates, like, where they're sensing each other and things like that.
Well, because she has, again, it comes back to she has no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Because she just doesn't fucking know. She's under the assumption that, listen, hold
Right.
on.
Like,
Hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll get to this bit in a second.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's like, she kills all the people, and then, she rips all his arrows out.
Yep.
While telling him about when she was, whatchamacallit? Or does she winnow where they can go, like, as far as she can go? And then she goes...
She keeps him in the cave because he cannot move. She can't move him because of his size and everything, I think is also. She can't fly. She can't really winnow. She hasn't trained herself to do all that. So she can't move this, I'm assuming 6-foot-something man.
Yeah.
Who's dead weight at this point. No offense.
Well, they did winnow. They did leave the cave.
Winnow, right?
They did, okay.
They did, yes. So they did leave the cave. I keep knocking over my microphone. Jesus Christ. It's fine. So they did leave the cave because she didn't want to be a sitting duck for whoever else may be out there.
Yeah.
And she's like, winnowing was so heavy, as if all the weight of him, all that power dragged me back. It was like wading through mud. But I focused on the forest, the moss-shrouded cave I had seen earlier that day.
Okay, they went to a different cave, not the cave that he was tied up in. That's what it was.
They went to a different cave. Yes.
And
that's where the caves got mixed up for me because I thought they stayed in the same cave.
No, they did go to a different location.
And then look who shows up.
Well, I just want to point out that she tells Reese about her painting the dresser. That's kind of like an iconic thing.
Oh, and something just clicked in place for me, and now I'm mad about it.
And then she said,
I know what you're talking about.
I'm mad about it now.
Ness, I painted flames for her, and I think and then she's like, she did
the flowers in the gardens.
And she says, though she'd probably cling to Azrael just to have some peace and quiet. And then she said, he's like, what did you paint for yourself? And she's like, I painted the night sky. I painted the stars and the moon and the clouds, just endless dark sky. And it's like, okay.
I never knew why. I rarely went outside at night. Usually I was so tired from hunting, but I wonder if some part of me knew what was waiting for me, that I would never be a gentle grower of things or someone who burned like fire, but that I would be quiet and enduring and as faceted as the night.
And she's like, I wonder if I was looking for this place, looking for you all. And he's like, you saved me, You can explain who they were later. Ambush, Hybrid soldiers.
Yeah.
And then Reese is like out of it, and he's like, I was looking for you too. So it's like, okay.
And then we get to chapter 50.
Hello.
Let's get mad at him again.
The T of this. This is the major T.
Jesus Christ.
Joe, did you have any idea before you got to this, like any inkling that they were mates, like at all, or was it like, oh my god?
No, I knew something was up probably back when they were still under the mountain. That's kind of when I was like, okay, something's up here. Because it's not how her and Tamlin were. So I knew something was up, but I wasn't quite 100% sure. But when I listened through this chapter as it's being explained, I was just angry in general on both their parts. Because number one, girl, you're blind. Number two, why couldn't you just say something, dude, and just get it over with? And just put it out there and just talk about it? It's not hard.
Because that would be too easy.
Again, if we communicated, we wouldn't have a book series. So.
Yeah.
But I'm just mad that Suriel told her.
She was like,
I think that's what pissed her
"Oh."
I think that's what pissed her off the most. Not him. She probably would have figured it out, but the fact that
Hey Joe, stay with the High Lord.
Stay with the High Lord.
I get it.
Oh, High Lord.
It meant one. It didn't mean just one. I get it now, but still, I'm pissed about it because I'm angry on her behalf.
Oh, and it
because it's frustrating.
It's like you did not know then.
But now that I've like reread some of my like notes and parts of this, I've realized something else now, and now I'm angry about like 9 chapters from here. So,
what have you realized?
What are you mad about?
So, she painted a night sky.
Uh-huh.
She is now mated to the High Lord of the Night Court.
Mm-hmm.
Who does Elaine get mated to? Lucian, who's into Spring Court. She got flowers and fields and pretty things painted for her, and it just dawned on me about 5 minutes ago. I'm angry about it.
But there's more to Lucian, though.
I know,
like, I can't say things that I want to say.
But it just
because Lucian is very complicated.
I know.
It's a complicated situation.
No, you have no idea, Joe. You have no idea how complicated Lucian is, and it gets so much worse.
I believe the two of you. I do, but this just hit me like out of left field, and I'm like, why didn't I see this before? This is so aggravating. Oh, I can't.
I love reading this with people because it's moments like this that just
Here's the ranty episode you're gonna get from me. I can't do it. I can't. I'm out.
You're just gonna keep on hating us, you know.
You're gonna get so much more mad, bro.
Yeah, like Farrah's pissed right now. I like how she gets back. She's like, chew on that, you know.
Yeah, she heals them. They get back to where they're ever at, and she just leaves them in the mud. Like, you can just...
Okay, so, hold up. So she finds the Suriel to help heal Reese.
Yes.
And the Suriel tells her, your mates, blah, 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 give him some of your blood and whatever.
And some flour.
So she gives him some, So she gets back to the cave. She makes him drink some of her blood and whatever else of the fuck. Gets him healed up enough to get their asses back to the Illyrian war camp.
Mm-hmm.
They get back to the war camp, basically drops the motherfucker in the mud because he needs fucking help. Like a sack of potatoes. Looks at Mora and says, get me the fuck out of here.
And she's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
She's like, I need a minute. I need time out. Because I'm crashing out.
She was crashing out. And Moore takes her to this little cabin place in the woods.
But I like his explanation before she just drops him in the middle of the fucking dirt of, thought you'd figure it out, number 1. Number 2, you were in love with another man. Number 3, you were then stressed out because of said man and were no longer with him, and I still was like, no, this is going to be too much for you. So, yeah.
I mean,
like, I get it.
Understand it.
I get where you're coming from, but my guy.
Yeah,
you just made this a whole lot worse.
Didn't know how to drop that bomb. Like, he just didn't know how to do that, you know.
The other night you told me you wanted a distraction. You wanted fun, not a mating bond, not someone like me, a mess.
Yeah, and he cares so much about her that he doesn't want to mess it up. Like, he's like, if I, like, ambush her and be like, oh, we're mates like somebody else when they come out of the cauldron, you know, we don't do it like that. You gotta, like...
Yes, he was going about it the right way.
He was. But then she also was like, but you said no more hiding things, no more games, no more this, no more that. And you hid this from me and you beat around the bush and you didn't say anything. And now you assumed I knew what was going on. You assumed I knew what was best for me when you thought something different and didn't talk to me about it. So the fuck.
Yeah. So Moore, you know, leaves her and she's like, I'll be back in 3 days.
Yes.
And then we get to part 3, House of Mist, where she literally just, like, is in her thoughts, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, she's
a few chapters.
in a house for a couple days by herself. She paints
see
every
ACOMAF.
single room in this house over 3 chapters.
Yeah,
That's not
Moore
for it.
shows up and she's like, "Oh,
You're
okay."
painting again. I just like how she went, whose eyes are those? Over one of
Yeah.
like whatever archway is in
Yeah.
that house.
Yeah. Like, and then she's like, "Why are
Disney.
Cameron's eyes there?"
What are you
Because
doing?
she's always watching.
Stephanie?
She's upside down.
Listen, I need to charge my phone. So it's going.
We're in
Listen.
the
We've spun
upside
around.
now.
We've
Yeah, you're gonna be upside down over there
Okay,
now
cool.
because
okay.
I have a wireless charger because my microphone is plugged into the phone, you know?
Gotcha.
That's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we find out that this little cabin's like where the boys come every autumn, you know, just drink and they'll hunt, you know, and just
Yeah.
kind of let loose.
Yes.
Boys
We're at
weekend.
we're at the family cabin.
Family cabin. And she's like, is he hurt? You know, she's kind of like trying to find out for more, like still recovering, but fine. Pissed at me, of course, but he can shove it, she says. And then she's like, you know, he has his mistakes, you know, but you really should like hear him out. And then Farrah's like trying to like, I guess maybe she's deflecting, I don't know, but asking more questions about how her, you know, trip was to the Court of Nightmares and all that. And then she's like, why are you asking such things? And she's just like, I'm trying to figure out how you all work together. And she's like, good luck, you know, 5 centuries of Tangled history. And then Moore is like, is it so bad to be his mate, to be a part of our court, our family, Tangled history and all? And she's like, no, it's not. I had my answer. So, you know, she's like, okay. And Moore stays over the night and they, you know, paint and hang
Chit-chat.
out and
Yep.
girls' night. And then she thinks that Reese has come back. And it's actually Reese. Or Moore just come back, but it's Reese.
It's Reese. Yep.
Which is chapter 54. And it looks like he's cold and freezing, like he literally walked, you know.
Well, he
Which
couldn't.
he did.
Yeah, he walked
'Cause
and
he can't
flew because he
winnow.
can't winnow. So.
And then he's like, you painted us, you know. And she's like, I hope you don't mind. And he was like, you do know that one of them is going to paint a mustache under the eyes of whoever pisses them off. So that was cool.
Typical boys.
And then they're kind of like, and she's like, you must be hungry. I'll heat something up. And he's like, you'd make me food. She's like, heat. I can't cook.
Still.
And then he explains when the mate bond, like when the female makes food and offers it to the male, like that's like accepting, you know, she's saying, I accept the bond.
Yeah.
So we start with the soup and she's like, tell me the story, you know, tell me everything. So we literally get like everything. It's a lot.
Yeah, this was a big chapter.
You know, that he was captured. I didn't make notes through all this because it's such a long one, but
yeah, there's a lot.
Just that, you know, Reese had a bad time. He was captured
and then
in the mud.
And, you know, tortured in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and then for some reason Amarantha doesn't remember that was him, like, during that war. Like, he says, like, she doesn't, like, recognize him, that he was, like, a captor, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, didn't even remember that I was the High Lord's son that she held captive. To her, I was merely the son of the man who killed her friend, you know.
Yes.
And he was like, so I planned to kill her. I told no one. And he decided to go to the party under the mountain, you know, to celebrate the trade agreement. And that's when he drank, you know, he didn't realize, he was like, she was faster, acted faster. He had been trained against my particular skill set and had extensive mental shields. And while he was busy trying to get in, no one bothered, you know, the drinks were, you know, and all the power. And he used that last bit of whatever to fling out, like, and protect like Valeris and
Yeah. Wipe the
it
memory
all.
of wipe it off the map technically, hide it from
Yeah.
everybody.
But he's like within a few seconds. Like he says like he had to do it within like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know. He was like my power belonged wholly to Amarantha. And it's just a like it's an upsetting like, you know. I'm pretty sure I cried the first time around when he was like telling me all this or you know, reading it for the 1st time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes into like 3 years ago he began to have dreams. And like it was Farah that he was dreaming about. He was like, at the time I pushed a thought back of the night sky, of the image that brought me joy when I needed it most. Open night sky, stars and the moon. I didn't know if it was received, but I tried anyway. She's like, I wasn't sure I was breathing, like, cause she was like, oh my god. And he was like jolted awake during a dream. That it was like her. With the bog and everything. And then he just was like on a mission to like protect her from then on. But it's such a good chapter.
And he finds her at the Soul
Calanmai.
Yes. That I forgot clearly.
Where that be
fucking holiday.
That thing.
Baby fucking.
Yeah.
You know, when you say that, it makes me think of whatchamacallit? Bad Boys with Will Smith. It's like
Yes.
Listen, Calamai is when they be fucking, and that is where we first met Reese.
Yeah, and he goes, and I smelt you, and I had to save you because he knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Or what was gonna happen.
Yeah. And then it's just like it's a heavy chapter.
But I do like I do find a little bit of peace in the fact that he wiped Claire's mind for the entire process of her dying.
Yeah, and like basically helped her like, you know,
get through it without feeling it.
Yes.
Which is
her
great.
death was merciful.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, towards the end of all this, he's like, but then she snapped your neck and I felt you die. And he was like crying and she was crying. He was
we
like,
were
and
all
this beautiful,
crying.
wonderful thing, yeah, that had come into my life, this gift from the cauldron, it was gone. In my desperation, I clung to that bond. Not the bargain. The bargain was nothing. The bargain was like a cobweb. But I grabbed that bond between us and I tugged. And she says she like felt something. It's like she said it before. Maybe it was the bone carver. But I think it was Reese, like in the bond. You know, having her come back. And then we find out when they're on the balcony, you know, that's when it like snapped into place for him.
Yeah, and that's when he backed out of the room like immediately.
And disappeared, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like, I heard you were going to marry him, and I told myself if you were happy, I should let you be happy, even if it killed me. Even if you were my mate, you'd earn that happiness. You know, so we get a nice little like not point of view from him, but you know,
find out why he wasn't there for the first 3 months after everything. And
yeah. And then, you know, he was like, I couldn't stop being around you and loving you and wanting you. I still can't stay away. And then she slowly turned around and she was like, you love me? And then she was like, then eat, and put the bowl down. I was like, oh ho ho. And then you get chapter 55, which is the soup chapter.
Chapter 55.
And he's like, aren't you gonna say anything? And she was like, I was going to tell you what I decided the moment I saw you on the threshold. And now I want you to know, Rhysand, that I love you. I want you to know. She's like, I want you to know that I am broken and healing, but every piece of my heart belongs to you, and I am honored to be your mate. I'm like, okay. And then they go to Pound Town, you know.
Yep.
And there's a table, and she's laid down.
And the beautiful thing about the mating bond is that it turns you into rip-roaring hormonal fucking teenagers who just can't stop.
For days.
I love the chapter. It really, the smut is smutting at this point.
Listen, you just mentioned chapter 55 around anyone who has read smut, and they know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like, it says, the first lick of Rhysand's tongue set me on fire. I'm like, it set us all on fire, girl.
Seriously. This family's on fire.
Yeah.
No.
Literally, they don't stop for, I don't even know, it's like all day. And it's like their scents merge, and I was his and he was mine, and middle and end, you know, it's like they're just like in blissed out. And then I have a funny thing, like, I guess it was like just like a pause. He was like, I think I fell in love with you the moment I realized you were cleaving those bones to make a trap for the worm, or maybe the moment you flipped me off for mocking you. It reminded me so much of Cassian. For the first time in decades, I wanted to laugh. And she was like, you fell in love with me because I reminded you of my friend. And he flicked her nose and said, I fell in love with you, smartass, because you were one of us, because you weren't afraid of me, and you decided to end your spectacular victory by throwing that piece of bone and Amarantha like a javelin. I felt Cassian's spirit beside me in that moment, and I could have sworn I heard him say, if you don't marry her, you stupid prick, I will. And I was like, oh, like...
It's so cute.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, we go on. They're like, he's, you know, she's like, what now? And he goes into like, we can do this, we can, you know, declare.
We can get married, we can get it declared, we can have kids. Well, I think she brings
like,
up kids,
I was asking about Jury, but it's glad to know, like, we have all these options.
Right.
I thought that was cute. So.
I just like how when they get back to the camp, Rhys and Cass immediately start throwing hands at each other.
Yeah, well, because he's like, hey, what does he say?
Oh, I gotta find it.
I like love it. Yeah, it's like the best when they get back.
Hold on.
Oh, when he bashes your teeth in, Cassian, don't come crying to me. And Cassian crosses arms. Mating bond chafing a bit, Rhys. Rhys said nothing. Farrah doesn't look too tired. Maybe she could give me a ride. And then they like...
and that's when they start throwing hands.
But like, you know, Moore's like, they'll be at it for a while. Like, welcome to the family, Farrah, and all. And I thought those might have been the most beautiful words I'd ever heard. And it's like, she's finally like found her people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my kid's crying.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh, give me 1 second.
Wait, what am I looking at? Hold on. Oh yeah, so where did that go? Hold on. Wait. So I had one thing highlighted in there in that chapter 55 mess of fucking and fucking and fucking some more.
Yeah.
And I have to point it out, and it's next time, Farrah, I'll fuck you against the wall hard enough to make the pictures fall off. Show me again what you can do with that wicked mouth. Like, just the hello.
Excuse you, sir.
No, not excuse you. Please do. Continue.
Fair. Absolutely.
Full send. Listen, that's just such a great chapter, and all the fucking. And then we get to 56 and it's just all the fighting. You know, because yeah, that mating bond makes them super fucking, like, they're already possessive, like, before it goes into place.
Yeah.
But that shit clicks and it's like, fuck everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kill everybody. And that's why Cassian's like egging him on and everything, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just so great. And like they get done fighting and all they want to do is fuck again. And it's great.
Yeah.
Didn't even bother taking my clothes all the way off before he bent me over the kitchen table.
Yep, that's what I was looking for. I'm like, that's exactly where we were going.
A hard knock on the
I just
door
like
from
how
Cassie and
Amore
Henry sending me a
instantly
damn
found
washcloth.
somewhere else to be. And yeah.
Oh shit, it's just fucking funny. And then, all right, I'll wait for Lauren to get back because it's right after that we get back to the townhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, because then we get into everything else.
Mm-hmm. There's so much.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many fucking notifications right now.
Oh, I know what part after that also made me giggle.
Oh yeah?
Oh, where was it? When they had all gotten back home, Amron had said something. Oh, Reese had asked about food because he was hungry, and Amron went to say something, and Reese added, "Do not say what you were going to say, Amron." And then her and Cassian looked at each other and went, "Unless you want to have it out on the roof." And then and then right after that, she had explained that, "I heard you grew fangs in the forest and killed some hybrid beasts. Good for you, girl." And Moore chimes in, "She saved his sorry ass, more like it. You know, he just was in a little bit of a bind." To where she goes, he does need an unusual amounts of coddling. That banter will always be there, which cracks me up.
The banter between the inner circle is truly unmatched.
It is.
And I love it. Wait, what the fuck?
I don't know, but you're frozen.
Yeah, because I'm checking the group chat.
Oh.
Blew up.
Oh, which one? Oh, okay.
Sorry, guys. We're having a mega meltdown.
That's okay.
She fell asleep and woke up and is like not having it right now. So,
It's okay. It gave me a chance to check on the group chat. Yeah, so I was pointing out to Joe.
I guess.
Huh?
What was it? Oh.
Come here.
Now I've lost my brain.
Was it in 55 or 56?
This is in 56. Oh yeah, we were pointing out that didn't even get my pants off.
Oh yeah, before
he bent her over the table.
Yeah.
Loud enough for the Illyrians still circling high above to hear. And when we finished, the tightness in his shoulders and tension coiled into his eyes had vanished. A knock at the door from Cassian had Reese handing me a damp washcloth to clean myself. A moment later, the four of us had winnowed to the music and light of Valaris. To home. The first time. Thanks for listening to Smut and Sass. If you like what you hear, be sure to follow us at Smut and Sass on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to Smut and Sass on YouTube. You can also send us questions, comments, and book recommendations you think we should read to smutandsass@gmail.com. And remember, keep the smut spicy and don't be afraid to be sassy. Bye!
Bye. Should we all say bye? Sorry. I was just thinking, should we all say
We
bye?
could.
We could. We'll save that for the next one.
Sorry.
Because I'm just using this one to attach to the first 4 episodes. And then we'll roll it live into the actual 5th recording.
Oh, I love it.